Welcome to the Cinema Gold Podcast. I'm your host, Larry Lace. Today we're diving into the latest Disney Plus news and starting our Push the Button series, reviewing every season of Lost. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex. Visit poddex.com. Use promo code CinemaGold for 10% off your first purchase. Disney just announced that they're increasing the price for Disney Plus. Disney Plus has become a massive competitor in the streaming world, almost second only to Netflix. But after more than a year, Disney is instituting a price increase for the popular service. The price will go up by $1 per month for current and new subscribers, beginning in just a few days. However, there is a way for subscribers who wish to watch shows like The Mandalorian and WandaVision at the current cheaper rate to do so. It'll just take a little bit of cash up front. But first, let's go over what is happening with the price increase and how it will affect current subscription options. Starting on March 26th, Disney will see its price increase in the US from $6.99 per month to $7.99 per month. The annual subscription will also increase to $79 per month. Pricing for the Disney bundle, which includes Disney Plus, Hulu with ads, and ESPN Plus, will go from $12.99 to $13.99, or $19.99 a month for Hulu without ads. Those who are billed for a Disney Plus subscription by a third party, such as Google, Apple, Amazon, Roku, etc., will be charged the new price on the first billing date on or after March 26th. Disney said those who are billed by Verizon are encouraged to contact Verizon for more information. Now on to the matter of saving some money. The official Disney Plus website states, quote, "New and existing subscribers will receive the new pricing on the first billing date on or after March 26, 2021. This is key for those who are hoping to save on Disney Plus at the last minute. While the monthly rate in the streaming bundle will increase on March 26th, no matter what, those who want to lock in a lower rate for a year can purchase an annual subscription at the current rate up until March 26th. The current price is $69.99. Price increases are not uncommon among major streaming services. Premium content doesn't come cheap. Netflix has increased its prices several times over the years. Disney Plus, compared to many of the other streaming services, was on the low end. It will still be even after the increase. Cheaper than many other marquee services on the market, such as HBO Max and Amazon Prime Video. Considering that Disney Plus has 100 million subscribers worldwide, that's $1 per month will add up in a hurry. But as Disney Plus continues to roll out more content, its value has arguably increased. More Star Wars is on the way, with shows like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka joining The Mandalorian, WandaVision, and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier are just the tip of the iceberg for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Monsters at Work, National Treasure, which we'll get to, and so many more shows are coming down the pipeline. Big movies like Cruella, Luca, and Black Widow will be available on the service in a matter of months. At the very least, it seems Disney is going to put those extra dollars to use. And if you'd like more information on the price increase, you can visit disneyplus.com. And now on to our next story. New Mutants is skipping Disney Plus and heading right for HBO Max. For those who didn't make it to the theater last year to see the New Mutants, or have yet to rent or buy it on home video, the Marvel Comics adaptation is finally making its way to a streaming service next month, though likely not the one that first comes to mind. The horror X-Men spin-off is set to make its debut on HBO Max, not Disney Plus, in April. That may come to the surprise of many, as Disney owns Marvel, and thanks to the merger with Fox a couple of years back, all the X-Men movies as well. The news was revealed by HBO Max recently. The streaming service recently released a list of all the titles that will be made available to subscribers in April. Among them is New Mutants, which debuts on April 10th. This will be the first time that the Marvel flick will be made available on a streaming service. It was originally released on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K UHD in November, and has been available to rent digitally. But those who are subscribed to HBO Max will now have the chance to watch the movie at no additional charge in a matter of days. As for why the movie is debuting on HBO Max and not Disney Plus, likely has to do with pre-existing licensing deals that were in place long before the Disney-Fox merger, which with many of those deals are being made years in advance. Long before Disney knew that they were going to purchase most of Fox Media's assets, and long before Disney knew they were going to go toe-to-toe with Netflix in the streaming game by launching Disney Plus. The New Mutants will undoubtedly arrive on Disney Plus at some point in the future. It's just not clear when. The New Mutants was produced by Fox before the Disney merger, based on the comic book series of the same name. It takes place in the X-Men universe and centers on 5 young mutants who are forced to undergo treatment in a secret institution, allegedly to cure them of the dangers of their powers. But it's soon clear that their containment is part of a much bigger battle between the forces of good and evil. The movie was essentially placed on the shelf for years, collecting dust. Disney eventually let Josh Boone finish it, and it was released in August 2020 as movie theaters were attempting to reopen in the US. It failed to garner much critical love and earned only $44 million at the box office, the worst of any X-Men movie to date. I personally enjoyed the movie for what it was, but I know a lot of people did not like it. As someone who works at a movie theater, I remember a lot of people walking out of that movie complaining about it. A reboot of the franchise is being planned within the confines of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now on to our next story. National Treasure has a TV show coming to Disney Plus. This is probably one of the shows that, based on what I've read, probably would want to pass on. National Treasure is coming back this time as a TV show on Disney Plus. The series has been handed the official green light by Disney and will see the franchise continue on the small screen. What's more, the show will feature a Latina in the leading role, which means Nicolas Cage will not be leading another treasure hunt as Benjamin Gates, though there is still a good chance Cage will and can be involved in some capacity. The first season will consist of 10 episodes, and the original producer, Jerry Bruckheimer, is on board, as are the original writers, who are said to be reimagining the franchise for the streaming age. Mira Nair is set to direct the show. There is no word yet on who will play the leading role, but the character is named Jess Morales. She is described as a, quote, 20-year-old dreamer who's with her diverse group of friends sets off on an adventure of a lifetime to uncover her mysterious family history and recover a lost treasure. While no casting has been confirmed and plot details remain vague, it is said that Jess Morales will be taking the torch from Ben Gates. That does imply that Nicolas Cage will be involved, perhaps taking on a role not unlike Patrick Gates, played by Jon Voight in the 2004 film. But it appears it will not be a full-on reboot. Rather, this will indeed take place in the same universe. That is of a particular importance as it relates to another long-awaited project that has been in development at Disney for some time. We've heard years now that National Treasure 3 may be happening at some point. Not so much that one project would happen and not the other. Most recently, Chris Bremner was brought on to write the long, gestating third installment, so the TV show isn't going the reboot route. The movie could still happen after the series gets going. Whatever the case, Disney still sees value in the franchise more than a decade after the second movie initially hits theaters. And now, we get to our new series, Push the Button, our review of the last series, and this week we begin with Season 1. For those of you who watched Lost Season 1 when it originally aired, it's as good as you remember. For those who still haven't jumped on board the bandwagon, what are you waiting for? Lost Season 1 sets the stage for what is considered by many to be one of the best sci-fi mysteries on television, and did a fantastic job of introducing the vast array of characters that inhabit this mysterious and exciting world. The entire first season barely just revealing the surface of what the universe has to offer. There's plenty of care taken in developing each of the characters, and by the conclusion of the season, you'll find yourself enthralled in an engaging sci-fi mystery. Lost Season 1 succeeds first and foremost in character development. Throughout my review over the course of this season, it's a character study, which can be used to describe several episodes. Lost is about relationships, and before we can understand the dynamic behind the various relationships that develop over the course of the season, we need to understand what motivates these characters. This show's approach of having an individual episode focus on a single character through flashback, while formulaic, is a brilliant decision. It kind of reminds me of the layers of a cake, and the backstory to each of these survivors is the foundation. Episodes like The Moth, Confidence Man, and Walkabout give us a wealth of information about the people we are being introduced to. These episodes and others are entertaining, exciting, and contain pivotal character moments that are still important to the story, even in Season 4 and beyond. This is the foundation for the whole universe that we are being presented, and the team behind Lost nailed it right from the beginning. With character being such an important focus of the first season, the major study mysteries surrounding the island are deliberately underdeveloped. After the survivors' first night and their encounter with the monster, we know this island is anything but normal, but we are only given glimpses from the point on. Over the course of the season, we discover that there are other people on the island, but beyond that, we really didn't learn anything. The truth is that if the writers had tried to develop the story at the same pace as the characters, it would have been too much, too soon, and the whole world they are trying to build would have come tumbling down like a deck of cards. Saying that the story is underdeveloped may sound like a complaint, but I feel that it was the best decision. We are given a thin vertical slice of what is to come in later seasons, and that is all we need. Of course, there's a plethora of individual character stories that thrive over the course of the season. Jin and Soon's strange relationship and betrayal, Charlie's battle with drug addiction, Claire coping with being a parent, and the love triangle between Kate, Jack, and Sawyer are just a small few of the intriguing storylines that take place. All of these work to strengthen our understanding of the survivors and their relationship with each other. Definitely of note is the story of John Locke and his relationship with the island. It's a fascinating story to watch unfold over the course of the season. In Locke's journey, it's very different from the rest of the survivors. He starts perceiving the island as a living entity and develops an understanding of it that everyone else fails to understand it, and they fear him for it. I wouldn't call him the villain of the show. He's more of the unknown, the nemesis, but he does definitely have his own agenda. Terry O'Quinn does an exceptional job of portraying Locke's development over the course of the season. He profoundly presents a troubled and destroyed man who has experienced a profound miracle and now is trying to make sense of what happened to him. If there's one storyline that I really could find fault in, it would be Claire's short abduction. The initial abduction itself made for an exciting episode, but the reactions for the next 2 to 3 episodes were indicative of the characters that I had grown to know. There was no real attempt made to search for Claire, and besides a few scenes with reactions to what had happened, most of the time everything felt as if it were back to normal. It really stands out that there isn't more panic amongst the group and more action taken by the leader. As longtime fans have come to expect, Michael Giannacio's score adds an extra amount of depth for this season. Apologize, I can never say his name right. He stands out as one of the premier composers on TV, and Lost would simply not be the same without him. Most of the Lost twists and turns may not have the same impact the second time around, but that doesn't mean that their importance isn't appreciated. This show's opening season set the foundation for things to come over the course of the next few seasons, and gave us an exciting glimpse of this massive and mysterious universe filled with fascinating characters. For longtime fans of the show, it's definitely worth re-watching, just to brush up on the rich wealth of information contained in the first season that is referenced later in the series. Like I said before, if you haven't been watching Lost, go jump back into it. Season 1. It is available on Hulu right now. And now, let's discuss the top 10 episodes of Lost Season 1. As you know, I started rewatching Lost, starting with this season. There was complete investment and extreme interest in the characters and story for the first 3 to 4 seasons. Then, as I've heard, interest of the show was lost when the show just got way too confusing, convoluted, and almost silly. I remember at the time, it was a show like nothing else I had seen before. So many twists and intriguing backstories. It was remarkably compelling and downright addicting. Hardcore fans will be disappointed, as there will be no countdown of the best episodes from season 5 and 6, because the quality of storytelling was no longer there, nor are there enough really good episodes to make up a full list. So for now, we start with the top 10 episodes from Lost, season 1. Number 10 is Walkabout. Wouldn't be fair to say Locke is a favorite character only 4 episodes into the show, but he, without a doubt, is the most mysterious. Upon rewatching Walkabout, it's easy to see why we couldn't figure out Locke had been confined to a wheelchair prior to crashing on the island. In all his flashbacks, he is seen sitting, whether it's at a desk or on his bed. In the episodes leading up to this one, we've seen him on his feet. The emotional payoff of the reveal at the end can't be matched upon subsequent viewings, but it certainly comes close each time. We also encounter the monster from the jungle again in this episode, and Jack has a moment where he can't quite believe his eyes, and we aren't sure if what we saw was real either. And at number 9 is White Rabbit. In this episode, Jack is chasing something, and we finally get to see a little bit of his backstory as well. In a good scene between Jack and Locke, we also see for the first time Locke's extreme faith in the island and what it means to him. It will be the first of many scenes between the two men throughout the series. The use of sound and the great soundtrack for the parts with Jack's father appearing in the jungle was very well done. It created the perfect creepy, is this really happening mood. Number 8, I can't even say that right. DEUS Ex Machina. We really start to see just how much this island means to Locke. We also get a glimpse into his past as well, and it hasn't been the easiest for him, unfortunately. Yet more mystery is added to the island with the discovery of a second down plane in the jungle. This one entangled high in the foliage, something Locke would talk the ill-fated Boone into investigating. There's also a great dream sequence Locke experiences with some really good use of bizarre imagery and sound. The B story in this one is quite entertaining as well, as it turns out Sawyer has been getting intense headaches, and the solution is quite comical from an aesthetic standpoint. And number 7, Exodus Part 2. Sure must have been difficult to wait an entire summer for Season 2 to start after this finale. Some questions are answered, but a raft load of others are brought up. Seeing each of our characters in flashbacks boarding their doomed flight is a great sequence. It reminds us of something we all go through every day. The possibility that any stranger out there could one day play a very important role in your life. The 6 degrees of separation has been a subtle theme throughout the season, and the show definitely starts to explore that even more from here on out. The discussion between Jack and Locke as they head towards the hatch is an excellent look at 2 different philosophies on life. Man of science versus man of faith. This will certainly not be the last time these 2 characters butt heads. The final shot of Jack and Locke peering into a hatch as the camera descends is the perfect way to end the season. And number 6 is Do No Harm. Do No Harm definitely stretches Jack to his physical and emotional limits. Locke drops off a critically wounded Boone before disappearing back in the jungle, and Jack jumps into action. Soon turns out to be an excellent nurse, as Jack does his best to help Boone, which includes a blood transfer from himself to Boone while he's working on him. Oh, and if that isn't enough, Claire starts going into labor in the middle of the jungle. It's interesting how all of a sudden a cargo container appears in the cave when there's discussion about cutting off Boone's leg. juxtaposition of Boone's demise and the birth of Claire's baby is well done, as is the moment Jack tells Shannon of her brother's fate. Jack's flashbacks deal with him getting married to Julie Bowen's character, which is weird now to see her in a serious role after watching her on Modern Family. The 360-degree camera work when Jin is following Kate's cries for help is effective, and he and Charlie make for humorous, helpless onlookers while Claire has her baby. And number 5 is all the best cowboys have daddy issues. Claire and Charlie have been taken by Ethan, and members of the group go out and search for them. Up until now, the show has been mostly about getting to know the characters and seeing how they are adapting to living on the island. But now there's a true threat, not including the monster that's been alluded to a few times up to this point, in Ethan and the apparent others. The confrontation between Jack and Ethan in the rain is intense, and Charlie's near-death experience really has you going there for a second. Jack's flashbacks are pretty heavy too, as he's forced to decide whether to essentially betray his father and telling the truth about his impairment during a failed surgery that cost a young woman her life. This episode is also the first one to introduce us to the Hatch. And now number 4, in translation. It's one of the most emotional episodes of the season. It deals with the one true couple on the island, Jin and Soon. Using Jin's flashbacks, we see what he's made him so hardened, with Soon getting the unfortunate result of his frustration. There's a pretty powerful scene on the beach when Soon reveals to mostly everyone that she can speak English. The moving scene shortly thereafter as Soon tries to explain and reconcile with Jin is a testament to how good an actor both Daniel Dae Kim and Yin Jun Kim are. As if that weren't heavy enough, we flash back to Jin finding his father and apologizing that he has been ashamed of him. We finally find out who truly burned Michael's raft, and it's a surprise culprit. The ending is a good laugh as Hurley's batteries and his Discman finally give out. It was inevitable. The one low point of this episode, the solidification of the relationship between Shannon and Saeed. Not the best decision the writers made, as it feels like they were just trying to give Shannon something to do. And at number 3 is Raised by Another. This episode finally gives Claire her own story. At the onset, this one might not appear to be much solely for the reason that up until now, Claire has been given background character trying to take it easy due to her pregnancy. Well, think again. This one packs quite a punch. Saeed returns from his trek into the jungle with news of others on the island. Claire was apparently set up to be stranded on this island by a psychic, and there was a final reveal regarding one of the passengers that forced another episode to be watched at 4 a.m. When I first watched the show, that was the power of Lost in the early going. So many more questions, the answers were brought up. Number 2, Exodus Part 1. What a fantastic start to the season finale. Rousseau, the French woman who's been stranded on the island for 16 years, shows up to the camp to tell her group that the others are coming. This prompts a flurry of activity, including the launch of the raft Michael and Jin have been building. The episode is full of small little flashbacks from multiple characters, as well as many goodbyes between our heroes. Some are leaving on the raft, while others are going deep into the jungle to the Black Rock to recover some dynamite in hopes of blasting open the hatch to hide everyone from the others. You get a full spectrum of emotions in this one. Storytelling Jack about meeting his father in Sydney days before his death is especially touching. Star Wars fans will immediately recognize the dialogue between Michael and Jin, borrowing Han Solo's line to Chewie from The Empire Strikes Back. The soaring soundtrack as the gang launches the raft doesn't make your chest swell. I don't know that will. Bring on Part 2. And the number 1 episode of Season 1 is the pilot, Part 1. Probably one of the best pilots I've ever seen of a show. Starts the show off with a bang. Opens on an extreme close-up of a man's eye as he wakes up in the jungle. Not sure how he got there. Michael Jin, his ominous music is immediately evident and wonderfully effective. The episode ramps up to full speed from there. For the next several minutes, as the full disaster of a downed airplane on a deserted island is revealed. Many characters are introduced, some we learn their names, some we'll have to wait on. As if being stranded on an island isn't enough, it would seem the survivors aren't alone. We hear in the jungle the presence of what sounds like a massive creature. Although we never get to see it, we do, however, see the result of what this unknown being can do to someone. And that's how season part 1 comes to an end. Thank you for watching this episode of the Cinema Gold podcast. Let us know your thoughts about Lost or any other news that we covered. Leave a comment in the comment section below and give this show a thumbs up if you like it. And you can follow us on Twitter at CinemaGold2 or on Instagram at CinemaGoldPodcast. And if you like this show, this episode, check out the other videos up here that you can watch.